Hello everyone, I'm Shorty from Iron Resurrection, and if you ain't watching Rides Done Right, you ain't watching shit.
Hello friends, I'm Larry with Rides Done Right. I'm at the 2019 Portland Roadster Show with Steve Frisbee. Steve, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Larry.
We have seen you with Corvettes before, and this year you've done it again. You're kind of getting this niche. When you build a really nice car that people like, other people are going to say, maybe I ought to have him do it.
Well, I don't know what it is, but it seems like when we do a Nomad, we get two Nomads. When we do a pickup truck, we get two pickups. And I think it might have something to do with being a Gemini. I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, we did yellow 57 a couple years ago, and then I met the people that wanted another car done. So.
Why don't you tell me about the specs on this car?
Well, it's a 57 original body, and it was on original chassis, and it was basically a donor car. It wasn't a car that we were robbing from a restoration effort. It was definitely a donor car. And so we had a client that wanted a car done, and we just laid out some of the specs. It's got an LS3 motor in it, Morrison chassis, can't go wrong there. Tremec 5-speed, she wanted a 5-speed transmission, and classic instruments, and pretty much all the components were the best of the best. And in today's world, if you really want to build a quality car that's going to hold up and last, you need to go with quality components, and so we all knew that right off the bat. So that's how we started.
Did you have any special requests on it, or was there a push for specific wheels or engines or anything? What was the owner like really after or demanding on the car?
Well, she wanted to be involved in the design aspect, which we were heading down a road that we haven't traveled before with a lady client. So it was a lot of anticipation, and it turned out to be a real good thing. But color and wheels were big on her priority list, and then LS3 and a standard transmission was really big on her choice too, so on her list. So color was the hardest. Wheels were second.
I like that it's not a color that I've seen on one. I mean, we can go back to that era, and you've seen kind of the pastel kind of colors, but you really took a nice turn with that color and gave it some flair.
Well, I didn't take the turn, and that was Rhonda's idea and her direction. What happened was I met them up in Puyallup, and I had the yellow 57 there, and they wanted to buy the car. Well, I didn't own the car, it belonged to a client. And so we just went back and forth with the conversation, and finally her husband said, well, Rhonda, I think you're just going to have Steve build you a car. And I thought, oh, great. Do you have a car? No, they don't have a car. So I had to find a donor, and I got really lucky, and within 8-10 days I found one in the Portland area. And so we were off and running. It started out on a positive right from the get-go.
Were the owners close, or were they far away? What's the distance there between you and them?
They live up in Auburn, Washington. So several times during the build process, they would come down, and they were down on probably the most exciting visit was when we lowered the painted body on the chassis, and they happened to be there for that. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be neat to see. Did on the color then, she was able to then, what we did, do sprayouts or something like that in the attempt to get it, or?
Yeah, we did several sprayouts. We went back and forth in the mail with sprayouts, and she really liked the yellow car, but we didn't, and she did not want to do a duplicate of that. She wanted to come off with her own ideas on color. And I was apprehensive about some of the choices, but she's got some interior home background decorating experience, and that kind of played into it. And actually, I'm totally amazed at how this color has gone over. Not that I didn't trust her, but it hadn't been a direction I hadn't gone before. So
I love that it pops across the showroom. When you look across here, you see it. I am a huge fan of the inside of it. I think the interior where you get to see the two colors together and the way they flow. It's one of my favorite interiors I've ever seen.
Well, she worked with David Brose, my designer, and between the two of them and us doing Sprayouts, we got a lot of little cans of paint at the shop, and I don't know what we're going to do with those, but her and David really came across with a winner.
So how did it go when it's time then to look at it? It's one thing seeing it at Sprayouts, it's another thing when you actually see the car. I mean, how was the response there?
Well, when we finally zeroed, or when she finally zeroed in on the color, David would send a Sprayout, and then he would send a carpet sample, and then he would send a leather sample. So you had a whole palette to view. And Rhonda really accepted that method of coming to a final choice. So it was between David and her, really.
When did she pick it up? Did she go to the shop, or how did that work?
That's a good story. I was instructed that it had to be done on her birthday, which was in February. And so we had a show down in Grand National Roadster Show in Pomona to do. And I told the guys, I said, we need to get this car together to where it can be showable. And I'm going to talk to her husband and see if we can talk them into going to the show with her not knowing the car is there. So that's probably a story that can be better told by her than me, but I did make a woman cry, and I did run her mascara. I did.
Well, Rhonda, you're here, so why don't you give us the story of how you got this car?
Okay, Steve invited us to come to Pomona because he said it was taking too long for my car to get finished. So my husband and I flew down, and we found what building Steve was in, and we came in through the opposite door, and we turned the corner, and as we did, my husband spotted the car, and he says, "Rhonda, look over there." And I looked up, and there was this mint green car, and I says, "Oh my God, somebody's got the exact same color car as mine." And I just stormed down there, just ticked off, because I thought I had a very special color. And I get up there, and I'm looking at the car, and I didn't even see it was a Corvette. All I was doing was focusing on the color, and I looked down at the little board there, and it said, "Owner, Rhonda Ralph." And I went, "Oh my God, this is my car." And I just started crying.
You made her cry, Steve.
Yeah, I did. It's not the first time I've made a client cry, but usually it's over the bills, not over the completion.
Did you get to see the anger part of it when she walked up, or did you miss that part?
No, I didn't. I missed that part. I wish I would have seen that part. All I saw were tears for 20 minutes.
Well, I have to say that we've been doing this a while, and everybody loves a good story, but it's one of the coolest reveals that I'd ever heard. Have you ever done that with anybody before, Steve?
No, we never have, but we've never had a Rhonda Ralph either. So, the guys don't get that excited about a car, and for her it was definitely emotional, and so I think it was a real positive climax to the whole situation.
Well, it's a great car for a great customer, and final thoughts on the car and the process?
I'd just like to thank Steve and his crew for building me such a beautiful, wonderful car.
Well, you got the right guy, the right time, the right car. So it'll be interesting to see how it'll do at the show. Our predictions are that it'll do great. And we just thank you guys so much for taking the time with us today and hanging out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. We appreciate it.
We'll see you guys next time.
All right.